Ah, the human body. You know, it's a work of art. It's functionality. It's... Hey, boss. Huh? What are you working on? Are you doing the canon of the human body? Yeah, we're doing the human body, the canon. Okay, well, here's the problem. If they don't know the canon of the head, how are they going to get the rest of the canon of the human body down? Ooh. Yeah. Yeah, they're going to have to know how everything is placed on there, and then they're going to have to know where the eyes and nose and how to draw those and make sure that you have the perfect canon of the head. I didn't think about that. Yeah, I know. You got a lot on your mind. It's okay. What? Don't worry about it. Yeah, you got a point there. Huh. Hey, listen. I've got an idea. I've got to get to Timberlake Christian School. Yeah? They dropped the ball on a project. Not them, but the person who was drawing the stuff. Yeah. Could you take over this segment? Sure. Really? You're awesome. No problem. Thanks, Professor. I appreciate it. Yeah, he's going to take over from here, and I've got to get to Timberlake Christian School. I'm working on something there, so he'll take over from here. Cool. Later. And there he goes. Well, on this episode, there was a bit of a mistake. How are we going to be able to work on the human body if we don't know the canon of the head? And that's pretty much important because we have to know how and where that placement of that head is going to go. If we don't get that right, and then everything else is going to fall apart. So on this episode, rather than working on the basics of proportions or canon of the human body, we're going to work on the canon of the human head and all the basics it takes to get it to work. Now, these are all going to be basics, so we'll have an intermediate class, and then we will also have later on an advanced class. And those will be in separate parts, and then the same thing again with our anatomy and canon of the human body. There'll be the basic, and then there'll be the intermediate, and then the advanced. Whew, it gets deep. And then we're going to break all that down, but we'll worry about that later. So on this episode of Artifacts, let's learn how to draw the basics of the nose, the eyes, the mouth, and get it all together and figure out what the canon is, and we'll move from there. So let's go. Oh, forgot to tell you, I'm going to probably have to get out of these duds because I'm going to be heading over to Liberty High School because I got to play a character tonight in Newsies. It's going to be Nunzio, the hairstylist, and Snyder, the spider. Anyway, we'll see you there.
Bring me a head. Battalion!
Ta-da! I am Nunzio. Mr. Pulitzer, please. You must try to stay still. That's my big line. And then I also play Snyder, who's another crooked guy. But hey, we're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about the canon of the head. So before we head on this, let's go check over with my other half and see how they're doing over at Timberlake Christian School. We're done. Thanks for me being able to take care of me, or over there where I left off, me was able to let me come here to finish this. Whew. Yeah, this is what we had to finish. We had to finish this whole thing up because somebody dropped the ball. But we're not going into that. That's not something we need to go into. Here's the thing I am going to tell you, is that when you work and you're going to commit and you say you're going to do this, it's a lot of hard work. Art isn't something that's just, I get to draw and have fun. No, it's, you really need to knuckle down and work hard. And that's what all this is all about. So anyway, I just wanted to show you what we finished, and I'm going to send it back to me so we can talk about the canon of the head. I don't know why I thought the body is the one that should be. He was right. So anyway, I'm going to send you back to, hey, yeah, it's all yours. Take them. You go. I got to recover later. Yep, as you can see, he's worn out. He really, and my wife was with him too. So yeah, they both did a great job. All right, now listen, let's get to work here. The canon of the head. In order to really do the entire body, we have to have an understanding of how the proportion of the head works. And it makes sense because once you have the head down, then you're able to kind of build everything else up. But in order to get the head right, we have to understand how to draw the eyes, the nose, and the mouth. And as this is a basic skill set, we're going to do the basics in the eye. So let's take a look at the eye, starting right here. Okay, if we look at the eye, or we'll start with the mouth, I should say. We start with the mouth. We can see we start off first with just this kind of V and then almost like long wings. That's going to be the top part of the lip. Now let's move on. Once we've done that, the next part we're going to add is going to be the bottom part or the middle part of the lip. And it's got kind of a C up sideways, and then that swings out and then meets the other side of the points of the top part of the lip. We add the bottom part by simply adding this wave across the bottom. And there you have the basic lips. Now remember, there are different types of lips. You have thick, full lips, thin lips, close puckered lips. They vary, but let's not worry about that. Let's worry about just getting the basics down of how the lip goes. Now here's another thing you got to remember. If you look at my profile, you'll see the top lip is further out than the bottom lip. You won't see it doing this unless you're the character in Forrest Gump and we're talking about Bubba Shrimp. People do have that, and I'm not making fun of them at all, but you have the extended jaw. And there are people who have that, and that can be corrected. But normally, if we're working on just the average person, the top lip is always going to be just slightly ahead. So therefore, it's going to cause a cast shadow over the bottom part of the lip. So if you can practice that, those are going to be the basics of getting the lips down. Okay, let's move on to the next part. Now, the next part is going to be the nose. The nose is, well, the center part of the face. And let me show you how to get started on that. So let's go from here. If we look at the nose, we start off with, I like to say, kind of like a tie. It's got the two sides and the point at the bottom. So if you can practice on that, that's going to get you the basic shape of that. The next step from there is going to be the eyebrow area. Now, remember, the eyebrow area, if I take off my glasses, you'll notice that this part here of the eye, on both eyes, kind of sets in. So you got the forehead, then the eyes go in, and then they come back out over the top of the cheekbone. So that's the top part, what you're seeing there on that bridge there. Now, the side are going to be the nostrils here, and they're just to place where you're going to put the nostrils right. All right, let's move on to the next step. The next step after that is going to be the nostrils. Now, notice that the nostrils themselves are not connected to the line around. The line actually comes around and underneath the nostril. It's to give it a little bit more volume, a little more depth into that part of the nose. And so now we're setting yourself up. You can start seeing the structure of the nose and how it's coming out. Let's move on to the next step. The next step after that now is going to be getting the part of the nose blended together. Now you're bringing those two bridges up to the side, as you can see, and they're working together to now tie the whole nose apart. Now, this next step gets to be tricky because, let me take this off again. There is no line here on the side of the nose. It's actually a shadow. So the shadow is blended here and here. This is what makes the nose a little tricky. There's no lines here. So it's light, dark, light. Light, or dark here, light here, lightest up here. And this is where it gets to be tricky. Now let's go back to when we worked at the very beginning. Remember we were working on shading on the very beginning of this series? This is where that's going to help you, is to understand the lights and shadows of the nose in order to create that round effect so you don't have lines coming down on there. And that's going to lead us to the next part, and that's the shadowing. See how the shadowing works? It's now starting to create and give the shadow, or give the nose volume and thickness. And that's the next part that you're going to be working on. You get these two down and you get the nose and the mouth down, you're working on that really well. Finally, el ojo, or the eye. All right, let's move on to that. The eye can be, I don't want to say tricky, but it's not round like a ball. All right, let's take a look at this drawing here. You can see it's almost like a football shape or almond shape. So if you start off that way, you're off to a good start. Don't start off with the round circle. You're going to want to start off with kind of like that almond shape. And again, this is just a generic type of eye just to get you started. Remember, this is just the beginning. There's all kinds of eyes: slanted, round, oval, almond shape. Bedroom eyes, we'll go into that. They're termed on these terms. There's all types of different eyes. It's the same way the nose. There's wide noses, thin noses. So let's get down to the basics. That's what we're working on. The face that we're going to do, remember, isn't supposed to look like anybody. It's not even supposed to look like male or female. We'll get into that. You just want to get the proportions correct on the face. But before we do that, we've got to get this down. Okay, next step. After that, you're going to add the iris, or the circle of the eye. And that part, if you notice, the ball of the eye, or the iris itself, is not sitting on the bottom. Or it's not like this either. The only time you'd ever see the eye is when like that is if you're surprised or you're shocked. But when it's in a relaxed state, the top part of the iris goes underneath the eyelid. So as you can see here, yeah, I've over-exaggerated. It looks like he's a little sleepy, but you can bring that ball a little lower. It can even touch the bottom of the eye, but you don't want it completely sunk down below the eye, as it is on the top part. All right, next step. The next step that we're going for is going to be the eyelashes. Notice how the eyelashes kind of flare off to the left. So if you have one set of eye, or would you say the left side of the eye, it's going to flare out. If it's the right side, it's going to flare to the other side. They tend to flare. You don't want to make them straight going out. That's usually the number one flaw, or the number one mistake a lot of young students make, is they'll make eyelashes come straight out or up like this. Flare them off to the side. When we get into comics, you'll see that there isn't just one eyelash. A series of eyelashes. It's just one thick eyelash. You'll see that in comics, but we're getting into that a little later. All right, let's move on to the next step. Now we're going to start working on the center of the eye, the pupil, which dilates. Do you realize it is the fastest lens in the world? Seriously, think about this. If I'm looking at you right now, or you're looking at me, you're focused on me. Now watch what happens. I'm going to step out of the way. You're looking at me. Watch. you've automatically focused on the wall behind me in a split second, and I'm back again. No camera, nothing can adjust that quick, but your eye can. It's the fastest moving lens in the world. One of the things God gave us to move right away and zoom in and out right away. And the reason we have two eyes, if we only had one eye, we could not see depth. Two eyes creates that depth perception, and that's why we have two eyes rather than just one, like a cyclops. Okay, I'm starting to move into another area, but we'll explain all that later. Okay, let's move on. Okay, next step. Now the shadow. Look at the shadows that we're now creating. The eyelid is now slightly over the eyeball, creating more depth. We have the eyelid. Now remember, the eyelid here, it tucks underneath itself, so it's going to create that line right over the eye itself. Then you have the tear duct, which is right on the inside, and you're going to lay that in and then build those eyelashes out and create the eye. Okay, those three steps, you can practice on those. Now, I'm going to be going on stage in a little bit, so I'll come back probably dressed up as Snyder the Swiner, who's a really crooked guy. And we're going to start getting into the canon of the head and where to place these items and what to work with. Again, the basics that we're working on is where to place everything on the face. This is going to be extremely important. If you can get this down, you can move on to the next part, which is going to be the intermediate part of working on the face, and we're going to work on that. So, yeah, I got to get ready to go up. I'll be back right after this.
Violent? You're right. He's not a socialist. He's a commie.
Mr. Newsies, please! You must try to stay still!
People, please. You're making Nunzio nervous. And when Nunzio gets nervous, I don't look pretty.
You know, you should come with us for dinner. Folks would be happy to have you.
Mom's a great cook. Oh, that's great. Thank you, sincerely, but you know what? I just remembered. I got plans with a fella. He's probably waiting on me right now, actually.
Is that the guy you're meeting?
Hello, Jack! Right, boy!
Come on.
I'm not as young as I used to be, but I can still hold my own. Wow. That's one tough scene. So now I'm back. As you can see, I'm dressed as Snyder the Spider. If you haven't seen Newsies, that's the character I'm playing. You got to check it out. Okay. We just finished working on the nose, the eyes, the mouth, not necessarily in that order, but we got those together. Okay, so now how do we place them? Well, there is a certain canon that sets that together. Now, if you have never ever drawn the face, you would probably see, especially with kids, they will put the eyes way near the top, when in actuality, it's set right in the center of the head. All right, let's take a look at this drawing and we'll see how we get started. Here we go. As you can see, start off with a circle and then kind of made an oval, not elliptical, but an oval shape to the face itself. Now, once I've done that, the next step is I pretty much darken up that line so I can see where we're going on the structure. Okay, so now let's take a look at what we have. And we have there, obviously, one head. From the top of the head to the bottom of the chin is one head. Simple, basic. That's your framework. That's what you're working on. It doesn't matter how big, how small, or what size it's going to be. That's your head. And I'm going to take this hat off because I'm sweating. Woo, am I sweating? Okay. So now we set up where we're going next. The next part is going to be setting where the eyes are. And as you can see on the eyes, they are set halfway. That's the halfway mark from the top of the head to the bottom of the chin. Make that line, you're on a good start. Okay, now where do we place the nose? Well, now what we do is we take that nose and we go halfway between the eyes and the chin. A line there. That's going to be your base point for the tip of the nose. Now, again, faces vary. There are some noses that are slightly longer, some that are slightly shorter, but this is the ideal face, the ideal basics of what we're working with, to give you a basic to work on, a foundation. The second part, or third, I should say, is now going to be the mouth. And where do you think that's going to go? You got it. It's going to be halfway between the tip of the nose and the chin. Therein lies your mouth. As you can see on the drawing, we have already, you can kind of see the face already set up. That gets us all set up to now map out where we're going to go with the face. Now again, it's not important that it look like somebody. It doesn't even have to look male or female. The importance is, did I place the eyes, the nose, and the mouth in the proper area? That's all we're concentrating on. Now, where I start off with is usually the nose. The reason it's in the center, and it makes it a little easier to be able to break up the space between the eyes, and you'll see how I work that. But you might try a formula that you may want to try. All right, so here we go. The next step here I have is, whoops, let me see if I can find this. There we go, is the nose. The nose is going to be set up, as you can see on here, I have it built up, and already I made the brow of that. That kind of gives me an idea of where we're going. And notice it's above the eye level. It's just slightly above that because the eyes are going to set in those in those sockets. Now, it's okay if it's a line. That's fine. We'll worry about the shade a little later, but just lightly place in those lines so we know where we're going to put the nose. The next step following now is going to be the mouth. The mouth now sets up, and now we're right directly below there, and now we can turn around and make that mouth a little puffy. We can make it a little long, but stay to the basics. Just stay to what you have as far as understanding how to make that mouth. How wide do you make the mouth? Well, normally you don't want to go any further than probably the center of the eyes. That's going to be probably the widest. If you go any wider than that, then it's going to start looking like the Joker. Now, I'm not saying that people have wider mouths. They do, but for just proportion purposes, try to stay within those areas of the eye and then not make the mouth any wider than that. And try not to make it any smaller than the width of the nose, because you don't want it to look like the person's puckering up, getting ready to kiss you. Although some people do have small, especially young girls, you'll see that. You turn around. My niece, when I first met her when she was 4, she was like this, cute as a button. Okay, moving on. Okay, the next step is now the eyes. How do we place the eyes? Well, it's easy to say. We got the length of that, or we got the height of it. We got them set up. But how wide do we set them? Okay, here we go. The basic rule of thumb on the eyes is that the space between the two eyes here is usually going to be one eye width in between. And then, of course, one eye from here to the side of the head. Now, keep in mind that the side of my head is turning. So even though it comes to the side right here by the ear, it would come right across. So there's actually 5 eye widths. That's the ideal canon of the face itself. So you can see it's 5 widths across. So you have your nose, and then you're going to place your eyes either side. That's going to be the ideal set for your eyes. All right. The next thing you can remember, as I said here, you have your distance between your nose And now you set up for your eyebrows. The eyebrows are going to be, usually some people have higher eyebrows. You're probably only going to have about half a width of the eyes above where the eyebrow is. So in other words, if you take half the height of the eye, place that there, you're going to generally put the eyebrow in that general area. I have seen some really high eyebrows that are natural, and you've probably even seen some eyebrows that go straight across. It's called a unibrow. And they have very, very heavy eyebrows all the way across. Frida Kahlo, famous Hispanic painter, she was known as a unibrow. Her eyebrows came right across, and she did not pluck her eyebrows because she felt that was the beauty of her own life. But that's fine, whatever. But I'm saying that, yeah, you can have one eyebrow all the way across. All right, let's move on. The next step we're going to be coming up to now is now going to be the shading. Now, this gets to be a little tricky because what we have here is now we have our light source. Now, let's go back to the basics of the sphere, the cone, and the cube. Remember all that shading we did? Look at the face. Can you see now the cone on the nose, the cylinder of the head, the circle of the eyes? All that now is starting to come into play. So remember, the nose sticks out, so you're going to have a shadow underneath the nose. You're going to have a shadow off to the side if your light source is coming from the right. Your left side, you're going to have some shadow. And then, of course, as the face turns, it starts to shade out too. Again, all basic stuff. We're just getting an idea of where to place everything. The next step is going to be blending in those areas. You don't necessarily have to. Again, this is just for practice. You can try some blending and see how that works. You can reference that and see how shading will work for you. Again, it's not as important as it is the proportions of the face, of the canon of the eyes, nose, and mouth, and where everything's going. That's the main focus of this episode. Making sure you know where those items are placed so that you can just think right off the bat where to go. The reason is because when we start getting into different eye styles, which will be in the next episode, the intermediate, when you're going to want to start doing somebody's face, you're going to be studying their eye shape, their nose shape, their mouth shape. What age are they? Are they young kids? Are they an older person? Are they in their adolescent ages? What ethnicity are they? Are they Polynesian? Are they Hispanic? Are they Eskimo or Inuit? Are they from Europe? Are they Native American? What type of nose? Is it predominant, wide, thin, skinny? There's all kinds of things that you're going to be able to pick out and see. And once you can concentrate on that, you don't have to worry about, now where did those eyes go? Where does the nose go? You will automatically know where they're going, and that's the exercise of this here. The next step is going to be the ears. Now the ears go, if I take my eyes here, I take my eyebrow here, and I take my nose here, and I turn my head, boom, there's my ear. Okay, so if you go directly across, you can just drop the ear on the side, and all you have to do is just place a small area where the ear is. No worries about that. It just gives you a placement of where the ear is going to be. All right, next step. Finally, we are going to pull up the hair, place that into the area. I made some longer hair here. Could be a girl. The thing that I have here is you can see the eyebrows are rather slender. Her eyelashes tend to be a little more longer. That will tend to make it look a more female-ish style. But again, the face is it's just a face. It's not supposed to look like anybody. It's not supposed to be anybody. It's not supposed to be male or female. It's just a face of placement. Okay? And that's basically it and what we're working with. Now, what you need to do is to practice this. This takes some practice to work on. First, start working on the eyes, nose, and mouth. Start mastering that. Start getting used to it. Start looking for references for mouths. Look at them. Draw them. Just draw mouths and nose and eyes. Get used to the idea of working those. Then take the next step and work on the canon of the face. Get the mastery of the jawline, where everything is the jawbone, which is placed right around just below the nose, is going to be, and these are general ideas. Now, for those others that are professors in college, they would be using the proper terms, but this is the beginning. I want you just to understand where the general areas are. I had one professor in college who knew every single bone in the body and knew their Latin terms, their medical terms, everything. Could have been a doctor. I'm sorry, you really do. Kudos to him, that's great. But you really don't need to know those. You just need to know where the placement of everything is so you'll know how to work those. Okay, that's going to end this episode. As always, may the Lord bless you and be with you always. Really, be out there, take care, work hard. This is going to come. It really will. You're going to get this. We're moving along, and we're going to have more episodes and things that will inspire you to do more things. And hey, I encourage you, look for other areas. Look for anatomical drawings. Look for eyes, nose, and mouths. Practice trying to draw those. And then you're going to see yourself get better and better. Okay, so we're getting ready to head out. We will see you next Thursday. Remember, like, subscribe. We need those people out there. We're getting close to 100. We want to get out there. You take care, and we'll see you next week.
Bro, Noof Dog, bro. This is next level, bro. This far exceeds any of your previous work. This is a masterpiece. The Pride Lands, Pride Rock, the rhinoceroses, the hippopotamuses, the elephant. The elephant is really, really, really a nice touch. The sky, the Pride Rock, I cannot imagine anyone anywhere having a play set like this. What a rich blessing. And thank you, sir.
Pantrabamba!